Hey guys, it's Rachel. It is Thankful Thursday, and you've got me on a Thursday again, rather than me saying it's Saturday and I should have made a video on Thursday. What I want to do before we even start particularly discussing the topic, because today, this week, we're going to be looking at how to manage situations whereby we maybe are going to make a bad decision. So that could be us being impulsive, that could be us our emotions kind of overrunning us. It could be a physical action, it could be anything, and I will explore some of those things. One of the things that the initial thing that I thought about actually when it came to making bad, I don't want to use the word wrong actually, but decisions that maybe are not going to be helpful for us. There we go, that's maybe a better way to say it. And I was thinking about the different means that have been suggested to me over the years, and especially when I was ill. And some of those things have actually included jewellery. Now, this is something I received for my 30th birthday from a very good friend, and I carry it with me. I'm going to embarrass myself because I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like the hand, anyway, it's for protection, and I wear it an awful lot. That just happened to have popped out of my jumper, which is why I brought it up actually. But it's things like that have always been incredibly helpful to me. So something that is incredibly personal, that holds a memory to something. Another example that I've got are these beads, and these are my spiritual sort of Buddhism beads, and they are from Tracy, and even if I don't necessarily meditate or use them, I do keep them very close, and the feeling of them in my hands is something that is incredibly soothing. And whenever I'm not feeling brilliant, I don't want to do the chant online because I get the piss taken out of me all the time anyway. But I just kind of move the beads. I don't know if you can see. And it's insanely soothing actually. And you repeat a mantra, and I'm going to make you look that up. You can look that up. And it's a traditional mantra for meditating. And you can actually listen to that yourself and repeat it. I got Chelsea to do it and it was just hysterical. But it's something that when things are difficult, that if you're feeling that intensity of emotion, you can sit with it. And I'm not saying it's as easy as saying, oh, never mind, I'm just going to sit with this now and I'm just going to, sit here and meditate. It isn't that simple, but having your hands on something is keeping them occupied. What I would also say is that if you're very elevated, a perfect example are my godchildren, and I was actually really impressed that I got my 9-year-old to sit and focus. Was for her to sit in the room and focus and do this mantra and go through the beads. I think that the more you can practice that type of thing, I've never been somebody for meditation. I'm not that type of person. I've always said rather than meditate, I'd go for a run. I do believe, however, that in a moment of struggle, a moment of intensity where you could make a decision that isn't going to be productive for you, that is actually going to worsen a situation for you, that you have means and ways of very much holding on to a memory, and that's what these are for me. It's what this necklace is for me. My room, I've actually just ordered a load of other prints. My room's just covered in pictures because whenever I feel something destructive, or I don't feel okay, basically. I have all these pictures around me. I've even got pictures of me when I was a little girl. And every object in my room has a story. And each of those stories carry a connection. And each of those connections are what holds me in a moment. So if I'm trying to get you to not make a choice that's going to hurt you, one of the suggestions I was given was that at the side of my bed, like there's the wardrobe here at the side of my bed, I was asked to make a wall almost of all the things I was looking forward to. Okay, so my initial thing is I really wanted to get to France, because I go to France for 2 weeks every year with my best friend, and it was about putting pictures up of me of a little girl when I was in Carcassonne, or as Leslie would make me say, Carcassonne, and pictures and images. It wasn't just of stuff in Carcassonne, it was different holidays that I'd been on, pictures I'd taken, butterflies, quotes, whatever. And the idea behind that was that every time things were feeling incredibly hopeless, which last year things did get really, really severe, I had that. And no, it wasn't to simply look at that and be like, oh, well, you know, everything's fine now. That isn't what happened. But what it did give, did give me something. And it allowed me to think of more outside of where I was. Last year was a really difficult year, a really, really difficult year. And I guess that this is maybe why these beads mean so much to me, because I was catatonically depressed and things were just... there's no words for what they were, because there were no words for it at the time. And I had these little rituals, and I think that if you can do things that are yours and yours alone, that whenever something challenges you and you want to react to that, the reaction you're taking is also yours and yours alone. So be that you have a routine that you do if you were to get incredibly distressed. I'm very aware talking about this right now that I'm making out that it's as easy as doing this or as easy as doing that. What I'm simply trying to give to you and say to you is that there are things you can put in place, and it allows you to turn to it when things get difficult. So if I have a difficult day, I already have a structure that I've used before that helps me. And this is my meditating. I've got my tea. I'm going to make some rose tea. I have it's almost like I've got a file next to me, and it's like, right, you're struggling with this, dum dum dum, what could you look at, what could you do? And I'm not saying that so-called toolbox is going to save your life or is going to make everything magically better. You might still use behaviours, you might still make a bad decision, you might fuck up, you might do whatever. But if you can take that moment of distraction away. So for example, when I used to self-harm, okay, and there would be a reaction to something, more often than not I didn't self-harm in a reactive state like that, but let's say for example I had, and what I say to others who I help and support is that you have that reaction, okay. I'm known for throwing my phone. I mean, it's just something that happens all the time. Touch wood, it's not happened recently, but that for me is a very physical thing. I have a tendency to hit out at things, whether it be myself, walls, whatever, because I just get incredibly, I don't even understand it still myself. It's something I'm still working on. So that in itself, I still can't tell you how to deal with that. I can't tell you how to get rid of that automatic initial reaction, which is so powerful, which is to just go poof. But when it comes to using a behaviour like self-harming, what I would suggest is that you do have this backup, and what tends to happen is that you may use the backup. It may last all of about 3 seconds, and then you end up doing what you're going to do anyway. It might last 5 minutes and you end up doing what you're going to do anyway. It might last 10, 50, and it can move up until you get to the point whereby you distract yourself for long enough that those feelings have dropped. And I think that that's what's really important in this at the moment, in terms of when we're thinking about making this decision that could be, you know, non-productive for us, is that we learn how to manage and hold back our impulsivity to a situation. No one is perfect, everybody reacts. That is what makes us human beings. If we are, though, to hurt ourselves in some way, or say something, we do have to be very careful. And people say things in the moment and then apologise for them, and that again is what makes us human. It's if we're taking it that step further and we're making a decision that is going to be pretty, like, it's really going to have consequences. Like, you make a decision and say no to something, and then it is actually taken from you, and there's no kind of back and forth with it, there's no negotiation with it. And what I've learned to do, which I still find incredibly hard, but I have learned to do, is to just take a step back, to say that's enough. And something I do, and I don't think Tracy will actually mind me talking about it, whenever each of us really struggles, and it's not that we don't care, I think there's an element in both of us that takes a step back, because you can say things and be things and do things when you're in a difficult place, and by taking that step back, it kind of it keeps our friendship, it preserves our friendship. And it isn't that we're not there for each other or we don't care for each other, but there's an element of stepping back and just saying, right, I'm just going to kind of let whatever happens here with services, whatever. It's not that we're abandoning one another, it's just this step back so we're not as involved in it. So there's some of my ideas really, in terms of dealing. I don't know whether I've really addressed the question. But back to having something. In the post today, right, if we want to have a look here, can you see? There's a little dandelion. The card didn't come, but Tracy wrote it out. I know I've only got a little bit of time. And it said, what I need is the dandelion in the spring, the bright yellow that means rebirth instead of destruction, the promise that life can go on no matter how bad our losses, that it can be good again, that you are strong, you are beautiful, and I love you. Okay, so you have that. And this, let me see, let's stop it moving, is a little necklace she's bought me, so little, and I will wear that, and the difference is that this will have the sentiment, and so if things get difficult, I have this on me, and I can just think about that, and I think that that's really important, guys. And I'm going to let you go, because the video has gone on, and there it is in its little box. So I hope you have a good week and weekend, and I will see you next week.